Thank you, Nigel. Absolute pleasure to be here. Cheers and happy, healthy and prosperous 2023.
Oh, I'll certainly drink to that. Absolutely. Yeah. Angie, I have to ask, how does a girl from Southend finish up in Los Angeles, and there you are, you know, you're a fitness exercise trainer, and, you know, you've got Britt Eklund on the books, and Cher, and Priscilla Presley. What was this journey from the North Sea, the Thames Estuary coast to the West Coast, to sort of this world of stars?
None of it was planned. I didn't plan. I'm not a Meghan. I didn't plan. I didn't set out.
Surely Meghan just fell in love with the prince.
Didn't she, though?
Yeah, of course.
Just fell in love with the prince.
Of course, yeah.
But she fell in love with the prince when she was sitting outside his mum's house when she was a little teenager.
Yeah.
And when she had his mum's book by the side of her bed. Anyway, Nigel, I don't know how it all happened. I just know that my mum sent me to the Lucy Clayton School of Modelling. And the Lucy Clayton School of Modelling took me on their books. And off I went to America, to New York, stayed there for a year or two, thought, I want to go where the palm trees are. Off I went to where the palm trees are. And I just...
And you tried modelling and you tried various things en route?
I did all of that. I used to...
Even a bunny girl for a bit, I understand.
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks as a bunny girl. So his lordship, George, had an accident outside Harrods or something. I can't remember that far back. It's such a long time ago now. He had an accident outside Harrods, bless him. Drunk as a skunk, did some early Christmas shopping is what the papers said. So I thought, left him, because I was sick of it. And I got my days busy modelling, and I thought, I have to do something with my evenings. Ooh, not a lot of choice in London. So I went to the bunny place, and I said, I'd like a job. Well, they jumped all over that, didn't they? And I was there for 2 weeks, but I had prime position at casino reception, where all the men, when they win, they come down, they give you a tip. And I sat there and just, thank you.
Well, there you are.
But after so I'm there for 2 weeks. My final night, Victor Lowndes calls me up to his office and he said, there's a phone call for you here. I said, hello? And it was a man called Joe DiCarlo, who looked after Cher. And she got on the phone and she said, Ange, come back, I'm going on the road and I need you. There's a ticket for you at the airport. See you tomorrow. Click, and I was gone.
That was it? You were gone?
I was gone.
The interesting thing, Angie, is, you know, you've done a lot of stuff in the last few years. You've built some businesses. You've got some very interesting ideas about health and life, and I want to talk about those. And yet, you know, you're the woman that met George Best. You're the woman that married George Best, the fifth Beatle, the whatever we want to call him. You know, does it sort of... Do you feel sometimes that you're judged very much as a person because of that marriage?
Oh, that's all. Yes, that's why I left England. When George and I had split, I left England because I could never do anything other than be Mrs. George Best, which was wonderful and I loved, but I had to have a life. Yeah. And I remember when he died, the women used to come up to me and say, I hated you. I hated you when you married George. And that made me really sad because it was like, well, but I'm nice. I'm not a nasty person. I thoroughly enjoyed being Mrs. George Best, thoroughly enjoyed it. The problem was he didn't. He preferred that or that to the life that we had. So I never left the life that I had before him because when I met him, I was working for Cher. And so I never left that. And I always kept my finger in the pies because I never felt secure enough, even when I had Callum, knowing that I was going to, that I would be a happily married woman, settled with a nice little house and a husband and a son, and everything would be lovely. That's what I wanted. It's not bloody well what I got, was it?
No, I mean, he was this incredibly glamorous, good-looking, brilliant footballer. I mean...
Gorgeous little creature, but it's the saddest thing in the world. Who and what he was really sad, because he had so much, and he didn't see it. and he didn't want to see it, and he didn't want...
And that's because he was suffering from an illness, or is that being too generous?
That's being too generous. But anyway...
Yeah. No, I was just asking, because it must be very frustrating, and I didn't want to, all of this chat to be about him.
When I wrote my first menopause book, which was way back in 2000, I was in America, and I was 46, and I started seeing changes, and I thought, what is this? And I thought, well, if I don't know, and I'm the healthiest person I know, then I have to find out what's going on. So I started doing all my homework, and I found out I was perimenopausal. So I thought, well, I have to write about it. And, as life goes and as things happen, I was training a woman, an English woman who was married to an actor. And I said to her, I've got to write about this because this is the strangest stuff that's happening. And she said, oh, well, my girlfriend's coming over and her father owns a publisher. So she came over and she said, what are you going to write about? And I said, what's happening? Menopause. She said, well, we'll publish it. And that was called Little Brown. Well, they did a terrible job for me. I mean, they screwed me over something royal. And they sent me an email saying, we're so sorry that we haven't done this book justice because it was so good. So they bring me over to do the publicity, and I go on the telly, and every single interview they're saying to me, how's George?
Yeah.
And I said, guys, this is a book on menopause.
You're not being judged for what you do. Now, you've said a lot. I mean, menopause is very much in the news, as you know.
May I?
Do, please.
It's champagne as well.
I know. We've done our best for you. I mean, it's not the best pub in the world, but we do try.
A little shot of wheatgrass in there, and I'd be perfect.
You've written about this subject. It's very much in the news. You've also said that 70 is the new 50. And,
yes.
And your ability, I mean, you are becoming this sort of health guru. You really believe that through nutrition and exercise, we can make ourselves younger?
Supplementation. There's so much we know now about supplementing the body with all these various NACs and DMMs and what have you, that we can't make ourselves younger, but we can hold back the clock. And we can be lithe, and we can be virile, and we can have memory, and we can still have energy, and we can still be flexible. We can be all of those things, of which I am, and I'm 70.
Is CBD oil part of that?
Absolutely.
I'm so sceptical about this.
No, be sceptical. That's fine. CBD oil has been around for centuries. But what happened in the late 50s, it got demonized in America. Hemp did, and CBD. It was used by all the grandmas and mothers to fix and cure everything. The animals ate it in the fields, it grew everywhere. It got demonized because they wanted to cut out the crops and grow a more lucrative crop, i.e. cotton. So they decided hemp and CBD was bad and it was demonized. Of course, it's all nonsense, and it's all, once again, Big Pharma, God bless them, controlling everything. So it wasn't talked about, it wasn't allowed to be, nobody knew about it until a few years ago when somebody in America said, okay, you can grow hemp again now. And it's like, thank you, oh great one. So they started growing it, and it's now legal, and we're allowed to have CBD. CBD has no psychoactive in it.
No, I get that. I mean, clearly we know so much more about, as you say, supplements and diet and exercise, and yet, Angie, a final thought. We've got obesity rates in...
It's not our fault. It's the manufacturers of the food. Nigel, they know the chemicals to put in the food that are going to break through your brain's blood barrier and not tell you that you've had enough. They know the... Ooh,
so what
he's here.
Yeah, the police siren wailing in the background. We've got an epidemic crisis, particularly with young people. We've got diabetes rates exploding.
It's our Western diet. It's the way we eat. It's the way manufacturers want more money than they don't care.
How do we fight this?
The government won't step in.
How do we fight this?
Well, the government has to step in. They have to educate people on food and nutrition. They have to educate people on how your diet causes type 2 diabetes. And if your nutritional plan causes it, it can cure it. So that's completely fixable. If you're born with type 1, it's not.
It's a different kettle of fish.
It's the ease and the comfort of being able to pick up a packaged food, pick up a packet of crisps, and not know what you're eating, not care what it's doing to you, not understanding there is no nutritional value to any of this food.
Something's got to happen. Angie,
why don't people like you and I get together and go,
well, no. Look,
something health-wise?
It matters. You've got gymnasiums, businesses, you're very successful, you seem incredibly happy.
Oh, I am incredibly happy. And I've got a wonderful son and a marvellous partner. And you see, my partner... OK, so there's you drinking your beer. Now, most men over the age of 50 should be wearing bras because they now develop guts and tits because of the beer.
Yeah, well, I'm avoiding that. I'm avoiding that. I'm doing my
You're going to
best.
have the surgery.
Honestly.
So...
On that note, I'm going to say thank you for joining me on Talking Pints.
Thank you.